Today we're into Foundation Standard to try to have the biggest turn possible with one of the sweetest reprints from the entire set, Thousand Year Storm. Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another edition of Against the Odds. Or actually, maybe bonus budget magic, I guess, since our deck's only $100. But we're heading to our new Foundation Standard format to play one of my favorite reprints from the set in Thousand Year Storm. So let's talk about our Thousand Year Storm deck, what it's trying to do, jump into some games, and see if we can have a ridiculously huge game-ending Spellslinger turn in Standard. So our namesake card, Thousand Year Storm. 6 mana is an enchantment. This says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, copy it for each other instant or sorcery spell you cast during the turn. You can choose new targets for the copies. Essentially, our instants and sorcery spells have Storm, but the Storm count only includes other instants and sorceries. So what are we trying to do with this card? So first, in the early game, we're really doing 3 things. So Thousand Year Storm, it's a lot of mana. It's 6 mana, plus we need more mana to cast spells once it's on the battlefield. So all this to say, our plan for winning isn't exactly quick. So in the early game, step number 1 is stay alive. So we got removal, burst lightning, scorching shot, ill-timed explosion, which can deal with our opponent's board as we're working towards getting Thousand Year Storm down. And one of the key parts of all these cards is they kind of do double duty in our deck, right? So burst lightning on turn 1 or turn 2 can snipe one of our opponent's creatures to keep us alive while we get Thousand Year Storm down. And then once we get Thousand Year Storm down and have this huge turn where we're just like drawing tons of cards, casting all of our spells, burst lightning can actually be a pretty good finisher where we just copy it a bunch of times, throw 2 damage at your face or kick it for 4 damage at your face repeatedly and use it to win the game. So if you look at our effects, pretty much all of them are going to be instants and sorceries because they work before we have Thousand Year Storm, but also power up Thousand Year Storm once it's on the battlefield. Opt is another good example. In the early game, we can smooth out our draws, hit our land drops, look for our Thousand Year Storm, and then once we have Thousand Year Storm, for 1 mana, it ups our Storm count and maybe draws us a bunch of cards if we can copy it a few times. Then we have our ramp package. So this is trying to get us to our Thousand Year Storm. And the way we're ramping this deck, kind of unique because it's essentially a treasure plan. Like I said, we want all of our effects to be instants or sorceries, so they work with Thousand Year Storm. So we have Grabby Giant, which its adventure mode can make a treasure, seize the spoils, discard a card, draw 2, make a treasure, flick the coin, my favorite bad card in the deck, and my favorite jank finisher in the deck, 3 mana for 1 damage, but you get a treasure and draw a card. So just like our removal spells, in the early game, we cast these cards to make treasures to get up enough mana to get Thousand Year Storm on the battlefield. And then once we have Thousand Year Storm, these cards let us have a ridiculously huge combo turn because we start copying them a bunch of times. And that turns like Grabby Giant into a ritual. If we're getting 3 or 4 or 5 treasures out of it for 2 mana, we're actually generating mana. Same with Seize the Spoils. If we copy it 3 or 4 times, we're discarding 1 card, drawing 6 or 8 cards, making 3 or 4 treasures. So it's actually generating mana as we go, which lets us cast more spells to keep the big storm turn going. Then we have, I guess, our most important non-Thousand Year Storm card in the deck, which is Brass's Bounty. This is the we're gonna win the game now card. So Brass's Bounty makes a treasure for each land we control, which is a good way that we ramp into Thousand Year Storm. Ideally with this deck, we'd like to be able to play Thousand Year Storm and have enough mana left over that we can cast a bunch of spells and win the game in the same turn. So we don't have to just like let it sit out and have our opponent kill it during their turn because everyone's playing enchantment removal. Brass's Bounty is one of the easiest ways to do this. We get up to 6 or 7 lands, cast a Brass's Bounty to make 6 or 7 treasures. Then the next turn, we have Thousand Year Storm. We have 13 or 14 mana with all of our treasures. We play Thousand Year Storm, cast a bunch of spells, win the game. It's also absurd with Thousand Year Storm. So once we're going off with Thousand Year Storm, if we get enough mana to cast a Brass's Bounty and copy it 5, 6, 7 times, we literally just end up with like hundreds of treasures, which means we get to cast all the spells we want and we're going to win the game somehow. The other key piece here is Reenact the Crime. So it's just a 2 of, but it works really well as like a discount Brass's Bounty. So we can be doing our big stormy turn, cast a Brass's Bounty to make some treasures, reenact the crime it for just 4 mana to make even more treasures so we can keep comboing off and casting our spells. As far as actually winning the game, what usually happens is we make a ton of treasures, we use like Seize the Spoils to draw through most of our deck, and then eventually we find our Flick a Coin. And our real goal is to just flick our opponent 20 times. So we want to copy Flick a Coin 20 times to deal 20 damage 1 at a time to our opponent's face. Although if we need to speed it up, we can use Burst Lightning to kill our opponent a little bit quicker. Mana base, pretty typical standard stuff. In the sideboard, some counters and a Ral for control decks, a bunch of removal for aggro, some sweepers, some ghost vacuums, and that is 1,000-Year Storm for Foundation Standard. That's our deck for today, so let's jump into some games and see if we can storm off in Standard with 1,000-Year Storm. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I'll be back in a bit for the wrap-up.
Need some magic cards? Well, you can snag them from our sponsor, Card Kingdom, over at cardkingdom.com/mtggoldfish. Want to help out the channel? Well, you can snag these super sweet new dice, playmats tokens, and more over at mtggoldfishmerch.com.
Against odds time, we are 1,000-Year Storming in Foundation Standard, and Dual Lands is a little scary, but this hand's fine, right? We can grab a giant for a treasure. We have the 1,000-Year Storm. Hopefully, Ill-Timed Explosion can keep us alive. I mean, basically, we have everything we want. The easiest way to go off with this deck, Brass's Bounty, 1,000-Year Storm. We just gotta live long enough and draw enough lands to make it happen. So we'll see what our opponent's up to. 1,000-Year Storm's such a cool card. Oh my god, it's such a cool card. Easily my favorite part of Foundations, all these sweet old reprints. All right, let's just lead on, I guess, the Fabled Passage. Go. Might as well with only 2 lands. We want to be able to cast our Grabby Giant. Who would have guessed we've played so many Grabby Giants over the past year? I would not have expected grabs to be a staple. Well, I mean, an against odds staple. Let's crack a Fabled Passage. Grab a mountain. Or actually, let's get an island. Because of Reenact the Crime, we want as much blue mana as possible. We really need a land. I mean, I guess, okay, Seize is good. So we can make a treasure with Grabby Giant. Wait, did our opponent play a gate? Are we getting mazes ended? That's another gate. Okay, we might be getting mazes ended. Well, let's do a little grabbing. And, okay, we hit a land anyway. That's good. The question is, what are we going to discard to this Seize the Spoils? Reenact? It's got to be Reenact. It hurts because Reenact is very explosive, but ooh, another 1,000-Year Storm. In our perfect world, we want to play 1,000-Year Storm and win the turn that we play it. Running it out early usually ends in disasters. Just most decks are prepared for enchantment. Sometimes we got to run it out early, but ideally we make enough treasures that we can do it all at once. Opponent gonna heap some harvest, grab a basic. I don't know what our opponent's doing. At first I thought it was Maze's End because of the gates, but heaped harvest doesn't get gate. Wow, we're actually getting 1,000-Year Storm flooded here. 1,000-Year Storm Tron. Not the best Tron when you only have 4 lands. Oh, all right. Well, we have, man, this hand has a lot of power if we ever get to play it. Double Brass's Bounty, triple 1,000-Year Storm. Opponent, Solemn Simulacrum. Gonna do a little more. Opponent's definitely a ramp deck. There's no doubt about it. Is this like a weird domain deck? Why the gates, though? The gates are so weird to me. Well, hitting a land is good. Actually, this might be one of those scenarios where it's just worth running out 1,000-Year Storm. We can also Brass's Bounty. Can this set us up to win next turn? So we get 5 treasures. Yeah, let's Brass's Bounty. I think this is better. So this gets us up to 10 mana. So we can 1,000-Year Storm. We don't have any cheap spells, though. That's awkward. We need a little more. We need some more spells or some more mana. I'm just so worried about running out the 1,000-Year Storm and getting eaten, but maybe with 3 in hand, we just, no fear. And with all the gates, they might not have, huh? What is happening? Okay, opponent, some more strange ramp. Craft with a cave. Okay, opponent, they like their weird common land types, that's for sure. With all the gates, maybe our opponent's not playing Leyline Binding. Maybe they can afford it. Oh boy, opponent's tapped down. Man, is there a way we can win here? Is there a chance we can win here? This is the window. This is the window for the win. Can we do it? That is another question. Well, opponent plays Plains and passes. That's another Brass's Bounty. So we can Brass's Bounty. Man, we need more mana. We need more lands. Brass's Bounty to make 5 is just not good. Spend 7 to make 5. I don't think we can win this turn, though. So we can Reenact the Crime, go up to 9 mana, but then what? Yeah, I mean, past the turn. Next turn, if we're still alive. Next turn, we have 12 mana. If we draw a land, I think we can do it. Actually, ooh, Genesis Wave. Are we dead? We're not dead. Oh, we got it. We got enough, right? 5 plus 8 is 13. So we can 1,000-Year Storm Brass's Bounty, reenact the crime Brass's Bounty. But then we need card draw. We need card draw. We just haven't drawn anything to go with the 1,000-Year Storm. We've drawn all the mana production, all the 1,000-Year Storms. Just no way to churn through the deck. I mean, this is the turn. Opponent has built their big board. Atraxa going to draw a million cards, going to ramp a million times. Now or never. It's now or never for 1,000-Year Storm. Either we draw something that lets us pop off, or we die. We can make a ton of mana, but a ton of mana by itself does not actually do anything. Opponent, oh, okay, now we're definitely wrecked. Temporary lockdown means we have to win this turn, or else we lose all of our treasures and then we never win. All right, come on, deck. Something that draws cards. A spell that draws cards, please. Land. Yeah, now I don't even think we play the 1,000-Year Storm. Like, we don't want our opponent to know what we're doing, right? They're probably a little suspicious because of Brass's Bounty that something weird is happening, but I don't think we want them to know that we're a 1,000-Year Storm deck. We bring in the gates and then just do a little trimming of some of the removal and guess, Ral maybe? Yeah, let's try some Ral action. Actually, you know what? It's just going to die. Let's run it like that. Ral's funny. It's a card that seems really good in the deck. The problem is we're just not very good at defending it. It's good against control. That's where we like to bring it in against control decks that can't really pressure it. And this is close. I imagine our opponent's going to be able to kill it. It is kind of like a weird backup 1,000-Year Storm, though, if we can actually ultimate it. This hand, very different than our last hand, which I guess is good since our last hand didn't end up working out. But no 1,000-Year Storm, no Brass's Bounty, but a lot of coin flicking. We can flick coins for days. Actually, we just got a lot of card draws, so that's fine. So opponents just, I still don't even know. 5-color ramp? Well, there's a Maze's End, so they are a Maze's End deck still. Well, let's do a little grabbing. Make a treasure, and, well, play the land. Pass the turn. I do love that flick a coin is one of our best finishers. Who? Only 1,000-Year Storm. Only 1,000-Year Storm would want it. On it. Splunking. That is very good with Maze's End. Draws a card. Misses their extra land drop, though. That's nice. Well, let's do a little flicking. One to the face. Draw a card, get a treasure. Ooh, there's a Brass's Bounty. Okay. Ill-timed explosion. Draw a couple lands. Okay. Reasonable. Including a demo field that we can use to answer this Maze's End eventually, if we must. Opponent. I mean, we're pretty much to the point where we need to... Ooh, another Brass's Bounty. We just need to find a 1,000-Year Storm. Like, if we can find a 1,000-Year Storm, I think this hand can do that. Wow, triple Brass's Bounty. Okay. I mean, the thing about Brass's Bounty is once we get to 7 lands, it is a free spell, so it's a good way to up the storm count. And if we ever can copy it, oh my god, do we treasure. Do we make some treasures? Opponent. I don't know how much interaction our opponent is going to have for 1,000-Year Storm. We probably play a... Man, we got to watch out for temporary lockdowns too. Temporary lockdown does not seem like it should be good against us, but since our plan is building up treasures, it's actually very good. Even though we don't have any creatures for it to hit, just nuking all of our treasures is actually kind of ridiculous. About it. Solemn. Going to keep the ramp going. Grabs a Schwamp. Passes. Another ill-timed explosion, eh? You know, play the land. So we have 6 lands. Do we just Brass's Bounty? Do we keep waiting? If we Brass's Bounty, we win if we draw a 1,000-Year Storm. Yeah, let's just draw. See if we can find 1,000-Year Storm. All right, no 1,000-Year Storm, but more card draw for the future is not the worst. Let's actually seize the spoils. We spend a treasure, but we get it back. And we'll just get rid of the island. Gonna hold on to the demo field just in case. Okay, there is a 1,000-Year Storm. Yeah, we can discard... Actually, we need that Brass's Bounty, don't we? Yeah, we'll discard a flick a coin. All right, I think we get to combo off next turn. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. Actually, can we? So we're gonna have 7 lands. There's the Atraxa. This would be a good time because our opponent's tapped down. So we can make 7. Make 7. Do we need one more turn? Well, let's... So if we Brass's Bounty, 7, 7, 7, 6... I think this works. It'd be so much easier next turn, but we can play the 1,000-Year Storm now. I'm just worried about a temporary lockdown. That's the issue. Brass's Bounty number 2. Make treasures. So we're at 9. 1,000-Year Storm. And now we can flick. Actually, I think we're good. Grabby Giant. I think we're good now. Grabby Giant, gonna make 3 treasures. And then flick a coin. Face. 4 treasures, 4 cards. Okay, big draws. Come on, deck. 1. Okay, flick a coin is huge. That is huge. Huge. And the burst lightning. Oh, we're gonna do it. Whew. We made it. Actually, we can opt first. Opt is kind of free, right? Because actually, yeah, opt is kind of free because it ups the storm count for a flick a coin. So let's opt. Draw some more cards. Don't need a second 1,000-Year Storm, although it would be fun. Another opt. Seize the Spoils is good. Now we just got to make sure we don't overdraw and mill ourselves. That would be a hilarious way to lose this game that there's no way we should lose. But Reenact the Crime, that's definitely game now. Because now we get a 4-mana. We get a 4-mana Brass's Bounty with a huge storm count, which means, yeah, we actually, oh my god. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Wait, we get 2 Brass's Bounties and a huge storm count, which means we're going to have a lot of treasures. We're not going to cast the other spells because I don't want to accidentally mill out here. So 1,000-Year Storm. Copy that Brass's Bounty. How many treasures do we get? Oh, it is going to be good. Yes, Brass's Bounty. Reenact the Crime. Brass's Bounty number 2. Make a few more treasures. Thanks. 1,000-Year Storm is so ridiculous. It's hard to make it work, but when it works, it's so spectacular. Brass's Bounty, a few more times. So we have, oh yes, way over 100 treasures. So now we just win, I guess. Can we win with Flick a Coin? Flick a Coin's the funniest way to win. 1 damage at a time. Flick you, and I think we flick you. And let's flick you. And do a little flicking. And flick you. And how about a flick? And 1 more flick. Is this 10? 10 treasures, 10 damage, 10 cards. At this point, I don't think there's any way of fizzling. Plus, we could always play a Grabby Giant and start sacking stuff if we somehow whiffed, which is not going to happen, but... All right, opponent, 9, 8, 7. Can we get 1 more flick? All right. We'll burst lightning for what, 44 damage? Not a bad burst lightning. Not bad. I guess we could technically snipe our opponent's entire board too, but that seems a little mean. Well, 1,000-Year Storm. You do a whole lot of nothing, and then you do everything, all in one pretty awesome turn. And opponent, yeah, I think we had enough damage there, just barely. It was close. Good try, Atroxa, but 1,000-Year Storm. 1,000-Year Storm. I think we just run it back. All right, on to game number 3. Can we just do what we did in game number 2? I liked game 2 way better than game 1, honestly. If I'm being honest about it. Game 2 was slightly more fun than game 1. Game 1, I do think we could have played. I think we should have just run out a 1,000-Year Storm. I think I was too greedy, especially with drawing 3 of them. It was silly not to just run one of them out. Opponent, land. And this hand looks pretty good. We don't have a 1,000-Year Storm, but we get a little removal, got the Brass's Bounty, can make some treasures, and Reenact the Crime. Can do things. Oh, more card draws fine. Land, go. We might have to cast an early opt here. There's always this weird tension with 1,000-Year Storm of, do you cast your opt early to try to like smooth out your draws, hit your lands, or do you hold on to it because it's a 1-mana way to up your storm count with 1,000-Year Storm? I think it depends on the situation, but you can't miss land drops, right? We need to hit our land drops. So if the choice is miss land drops or cast an opt, definitely casting the opt. Opponent grabs a Schwamp. Well, there's our buddy Grabby Giant. Let's just do a little season. Get rid of this burst lightning. Draw, okay, couple more lands, that's fine. We do not mind hitting our land drops. I've toyed for a minute with trying to make this a teamer deck because the land ramp is really good with Brass's Bounty, but I just could not find the room for it with everything else. Plus the colors get a little awkward, but I do think it could be possible. Well, let's play the Fable Passage. Are we just drawing? Do we do nothing? I don't really want to run out Grabby Giant as a creature. Not without getting a treasure out of it first. I guess we just gotta pass. What do you got, opponent? Oh, they're a Genesis Wave deck. Oh. Okay, that makes way more sense. I mean, I guess we saw that in game number 1, but all this weirdness is kind of adding up now. Our opponent's trying to do everything they can with permanent. So that's why they're playing these weird ramp spells. And then I guess the idea is you just Genesis Wave into the Maze's End kill. I don't know about the Maze's End plan. I have not seen anything that makes me think our opponent has enough gates to win with Maze's End. Unless their plan is they're going to Genesis Wave their entire deck into play, then maybe. But yeah, okay, it's adding up now. It's a weird Genesis Wave brew. Well, let's Grabby Giant and play the land. Well, we're getting to the point where we'd like a 1,000-Year Storm. That's like the worst pickup line ever. I'm gonna heap your harvest. Opponent, Atraxa. I still have this cold that if I laugh, I cough. It's a horrible curse. It's like one of those bad YouTube videos, like you laugh, you lose, but instead of losing, it's coughing. Opponent's gonna draw a bunch of cards with their Atraxa. And Lush Portico. So opponent has a temporary lockdown, which is a concern. They have a Genesis Wave, which I guess is also kind of a concern, although so far, it doesn't seem like they win the turn they Genesis Wave. So if they tap out to Genesis Wave, we just got to be able to win the next turn. The temporary lockdown does mean we can't just fire off Brass's Bounty, though. Well, let's Ill-Timed Explosion. Ooh, there's the 1,000-Year Storm. Man, if it wasn't for this temporary lockdown, life would be so good. If it wasn't for temporary lockdown, we could discard Brass's Bounty, reenact the crime Brass's Bounty. I guess we still do it? Discard the Brass's Bounty, that is, to kill the Atraxa? Huh. Actually, you know what? I want to win with this, but we need this Brass's Bounty to win. But the Atraxa's a fast clock. You know what? We're going to hold it. We're just going to hold it. We're going to hold it. We're going to hold it, and we're just going to try to win. Rather than, I mean, I guess we're always trying to win, but rather than play defensively and try to kill the Atraxa and make the game go longer, I think it makes the most sense to just try to find a window 2,000-Year Storm and just pop off. I think that's going to be better here. Okay. Well, I mean, that's annoying that we lose 2 treasures. We can sack him for mana to send a message. Haha. How do you like us now, opponent? And wow, banishing like the Grabby Giant? Okay, okay. Well, we got the temporary lockdown out of our opponent's hand. That's actually kind of big. That might mean, do we just Brass's Bounty now? Oh, we could have drawn with Grabby Giant, couldn't we? Yeah, I could have done that slightly differently. I think we could have sacked a treasure and then activated sacking the other treasure. Yeah, we didn't want that card anyway. Opponent. Splunking. Seems pretty cute with Genesis Wave. Opponent, gonna draw a card, put a land into play. Maybe. It's a Guildgate. Well, okay. We learned from game 1. Like I said before, wow, look at that animation. Back when they actually made epic animations for Magic cards, Banishing Light. We learned from game 1. Normally, like I said, I don't like running out 1,000-Year Storm unless we're gonna win. But with 2,000-Year Storms, running out one of them to eat a removal spell is probably fine, because if it sticks, we win. If it doesn't stick, then, well, we get to try again the next turn. We are in a clock, though. Remember this Atraxa that we didn't kill? Because we were just going to win? It's about to kill us. So we're kind of on a 1-turn clock, and I think we might be able to win next turn. Maybe. So we're going to have, 8 lands. So Brass's Bounty, 8 treasures, reenact the crime, down 4, plus 8. So we end up with 12 treasures. 1,000-Year Storm opt, then we need to hit a treasure. Opponent plays, I think there's a chance. There's a chance that our greed is going to pay off. Opponent, Atraxa. Ooh, Leyline Binding. Can they cast Leyline Binding? Oh, they're missing red? Okay, so I think this means they can't Leyline Binding. Leyline Binding would get us because it could get the 1,000-Year Storm. Well, okay, here we go. It is time. It is time to do some storming. Brass's Bounty, number 1. Do we cast the second Brass's Bounty just to up the storm count? I think so. So Brass's Bounty number 2. It's technically +1 mana. So we go up to 10 treasures. Now we can 1,000-Year Storm. This actually works out even better than I thought. 1,000-Year Storm. Now we can reenact the crime, both Brass's Bounties, and make a lot of treasures. And then in Opt we trust. The Opt should find us something, right? We're gonna get to see like 10 cards or something ridiculous. So the Opt should be able to find us something here. And opponent's at 37, but it shouldn't matter. Like, once we do the thing is going to beat our opponent, even if they gain a bunch of life. Brass's Bounty, treasure us. And then reenact the crime number 2 for Brass's Bounty number 2. So we're gonna have like 64 mana, I think. Should be enough. Wow. I think our opponent's getting punished for their Maze's End plan. If their Rakdos Guildgate was a Rakdos dual land, they would be able to just cast the Leyline Binding. But well, let's opt. And flick a coin. That is what we're looking for. Card draw plus treasure production. Somehow Flick a Coin's like the best card in our deck. Opt number 2. Fabled Passage to the bottom. I mean, at this point, I don't think. Okay, Burst Lightning. I think we actually have already won now. Opt a land to the bottom, and we also we'll keep the negate just in case. I don't think they can interact. If they could have interacted, they would have done so by now. And Flick a Coin number 2. All right, well, let's do a little flicking. I love so much that Flick a Coin is so good in this deck. I love those. It's just like so overcosted, and it's so janky, but it's so perfect without. It does literally everything we want. Like, it's damage, it's mana, and it's card draw. It's so perfect, even though it's such a bad card. Well, flick ya, and flick ya. Now we just got to make sure we don't accidentally draw our entire deck and mill out, which might mean we have to cast this Burst Lightning in the near future. Another Brass's Bounty. Oh, we could just keep casting spells for a very long time here. Well, we found all of our negates. All right, let's 1,000-Year Storm part 2. And remember, 1,000-Year Storm doesn't care about when it comes on the battlefield. Brass's Bounty. Oh, we're gonna make token limit, maybe, I think. So the 1,000-Year Storm, even though we just played it, it just cares about how many spells we've cast this turn. So we're still gonna get double copies of everything. I think this should get us to the token limit, or pretty close to it. And then Brass's, or Burst Lightning, your face, with Kicker. And I think this should be lethal. Copy it a few times, and 4 times 10 times 2, something like that. Should be like 80-ish damage. Well, opponent. Nice Atraxa, but not nice enough. Not nice enough to stop the 1,000-Year Storm. And about it, 22, 18, 14, 10, 6, 4, and oh yeah, we could have kept this going for so long, and dead. And that is 1,000-Year Storm. That's what makes it so fun to play. I don't know if this deck's gonna be good, but boy is it sweet when it pops off. There is nothing else in Standard that's gonna do this. It's just like, it's insane. It's insane when it pops off. So yeah, that's the beauty of 1,000-Year Storm. Well, let's just keep doing that, hopefully. All right. It is time for some more 1,000-Year Storming, and we're gonna keep this. I mean, double Brass's Bounty is a little expensive, but it's also our most powerful card. So if we can get to it, we should be able to do some things. There is a downside to building decks around 6 and 7 drops, which is you're gonna have hands like this. But we got Flick a Coin, so life's good, right? Flick a Coin solves all of our problems, as long as they have 1 toughness. I would like to kill a Llanowar with it. Although, sadly, since it's 3 mana, by the time we kill the Llanowar, they probably already played it, I don't know, some huge 5-drop and we're dead. And let's go Overlord of the Hauntwoods. But, all right, opponent. How are we doing over there on turn 1? Oh, God. Oh, boy. Oh, it's the nightmare. It's the nightmare. Oh, boy. Okay, well, we'll keep the land. So, you know what's really good against Thousand Year Storm. And a handful of Brass's bounties that cost 7 mana. Mono red. I feel like this might be... All right, opponent, Swift Spear number 2 and a Bolt Wave. We got a bunch of sweepers in the sideboard, but this might be a very bad matchup for our deck. I think we're probably a little on the slow side, but we do have Flick a Coin. Well, Escape Tunnel, interesting. Do not usually see Escape Tunnel, but I guess it's a way you can get through blockers? Oh boy, another Bolt Wave. Bolt Wave's a lot of damage for a little mana. If we have another Bolt Wave, we're just straight up dead. Pound it. Hits us to 5. Well, Grabby Giant, let's make that treasure. We can theoretically sweep the board here, which I guess we have to. The problem is with these new Bernie decks. Let's go land and gotta be a Brass's Bounty. I'd be surprised if we survived to cast one of them. Yeah, opponent with the shock. The problem with these new burn style mono red decks is even if we deal with a board, pretty good chance our opponent's gonna Boros Charmas or Lightning Strike, some sort of lightning heal. Let's go with Helix. Oh my god, who would have thought? Yes. Well, let's do a little sideboarding and bring in some Torch to the Towers and maybe those prowess threats are annoying. We definitely want the Torch to the Towers. How do we interact with this? We have like the Slag Storms and such, but can we really use them? Are they good enough? We got to bring in at least some of them. Like the problem with Pyroclasm is I feel like they just outscale it. Like I feel like because their threats have prowess and because they're a burn deck, so they probably don't have that many threats already, I'm actually not sure Pyroclasm is good enough in this matchup, as weird as that sounds. It's so good against like the go wide decks, right? Like Jeskai Convoke or something. But I'm not sure it's that good against this deck. We're going to lead on the untap lands so we can torch the tower if we need to. Well, all right, no one drop is good. Let's Thundering Falls. Reenact the crime. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to take advantage of that one this game. We already have one in hand anyway. Reenact the crime is really good, but it's not really 4 mana. It's really another like 7 mana card in our deck. It's another like late game card. Found it. Helix is our face. Oh my god. Well, yeah, let's seize the spoils, get rid of this Scorching Shot, and hey, Grabby Giant. Okay, now we're good. We're good. Problem solved. Grabby Giant is here. Have no fear. Let's play the Fabled Passage. Actually, yeah, let's play the Fabled Passage. Are we just drawing 2 with Ill-Timed Explosion? Is that our life? I think that's our life. Found it. Boros Charms our face. The burn in this standard is wild. It is really modern level. It is like OG modern level burn, which is crazy. Opponent. Another mountain. And the Screaming Nemesis. Okay. Well, you know what else is pretty good against Pyroclasms? Screaming Nemesis. Also good against Grabby Giants. We can't just block it. Is there any way we can be fast enough? How can we possibly... 1, 2, 3, land. So we could like do a mini Brass's Bounty. We could discard the Brass's Bounty to the Seize the Spoils, get the treasure, reanimate it, make 5 treasures. I really want one more. We want another turn. I don't know if we're gonna get it though. Found it. We still need the Thousand Year Storm anyway. Like just making a bunch of treasures with Brass's Bounty doesn't really do anything unless we have Thousand Year Storm to back it up. Well, that's mine, says the Grabby Giant. Make that treasure. Thousand Year Storm, please. How about a Thousand Year Storm? Another opt, okay. Well, that goes 1 card deeper. Storm count it, 3. Mountain to the bottom. Thousand Year Storm. Shivan Reef. Well, untap, another land. Yeah, we really need at least one more turn, and I don't know if we're gonna get there this time. Grab the mountain. 1, 2, 3. Seize the spoils. I mean, there's nothing else. Actually, Yeah, let's do it. Let's tap this way so we don't have to take damage. Seize the spoils. Get rid of the Brass's Bounty. Draw Thousand Year Storm, maybe. 2 Flick a Coins. think we're just done. Yeah. Mono red is, we're never going to beat this deck. It is such a incredibly bad matchup. Well, at least it was quick. At least it was quick. We'll storm off next time, hopefully. Against the odds time, we are 1,000 years, mulliganing. Ooh, all right, that's a 1,000-year storm. That's a 1,000-year storm. This hand looks pretty good. 1,000-year storming in Foundation Standard. So what are we putting to the bottom? That is the question. Mountain to the bottom, I think. Yeah. I mean, we should be able to hit our lands with the Seize the Spoil and now this Opt. So since we have the 1,000-year storm, we just need to develop our mana, hopefully find a Brass's Bounty, and, island. Counter spells can be good against our deck. We'll see what our opponent's doing. It could be control, could be something else. Forest for our opponent, and Picklock Pranks. All right, some sort of graveyard deck, apparently. Sure. Opponent. Oh, Portal to Phyrexia. What are we playing against, Phil? Opt. I don't even know if we want Grabby here. As good as Grabby Giant can be, which is not very. I don't know if this is the time for it. All right, let's Seize the Spoils. Get rid of this Burst Lightning. It seems like our opponent's... Oh, we kind of want to hit a land there. I mean, I guess we can opt for one next turn if we have to. Opponent, Picklock Prankster number 2. Oh, no. They're running it out as a creature, right? Oh, and missing that. They milled all their lands. Well, we can't laugh too much because, okay, we found a land. We're in danger of missing our land drop anyway. Play the tap land, pass the turn. Your opponent did mill. That's always the worst feel. You know it's random, and you know you made the right play, but still, when you cast your self-mill spell and it hits 3 lands, then you miss your land drop. You're like, come on. If only I had not done that. Ooh, opponent finds a Hedge Maze. That's actually kind of huge for our opponent. A land that... Did they just mill a land? Wait, okay, sure. I mean, you were allowed to do that. Wasn't our opponent just missing land drops, though? Did we discard... Huh. Let's just ill-timed explosion. I think that's fine. We don't really care about wrathing here. Opponent can keep their 1/3. We kind of want to use the Brass's Bounty when we get maybe a little bit more mana. Or a couple more lands. Because we can do the, like, Seize the Spoils, discard it, reanimate it with Reenact the Crime, but I think it's better to develop our mana a little more first. Plus, we're just not under... I mean, our opponent's hitting us for 1. We have infinite time. Although they do have a Velgavoth in the graveyard now. Opponent. Maybe they milled the land because they were looking for black mana. Well, let's just hardcast Brass's Bounty. Opponent does not have a counter. We're just gonna wait. We could have tried to do things this turn with like Reenact the Crime into 1,000-year storm, but I think there's just no reason not to wait. And now we're in wonderful, wonderful, wonderful land, 1,000-year storm, and then we will cast a little burst lightning at your face. Down to 18, and then cast a little burst lightning at your face. Yeah, how about down to 14? Copy it. And then Seize the Spoils. Pitch the Brass's Bounty. Oh, this is going to be pretty good. So draw 6, make 3 treasures. And now we can reenact the crime, the Brass's Bounty. I don't even know if we really need to. I mean, I guess we probably will. I mean, we gotta get the treasures, right? Why pass it? Actually, do we just accidentally win here? Because we get to copy the Reenact the Crime a bunch. Our opponent might just die before... they might just die before the Brass's Bounty resolves. Burst Lightning hits you a little bit. Just a little off the top, opponent. Like maybe 8. Yeah. And opponent scoops it up and, well, okay. So we benefited from our opponent. I don't even know what they were thinking. Missed a land drop, then surveilled a land to the graveyard off their surveil land. It did not go well for our opponent. It did go very well for us, though. So I think we want the negates. Definitely want Ghost Vacuums, because one thing we do know about our opponent's deck is it is a graveyard deck of some kind. It's just such a fun deck to play. Oh, it's just, you do such cool big things. There's so many like sneaky lines of like the order that you cast your spells. Oh, wow. Okay, this might be the freebie. This might be the freebie. I mean, this hand is nowhere near doing anything, but it has 2 Ghost Vacuums, and I'm not convinced that our opponent's deck can beat 2 Ghost Vacuums. I think there's a chance that 2 Ghost Vacuums, if our opponent, like, they got Valgavas, and, like, they are very dedicated, oh, land is good, very dedicated to the graveyard. I feel like just exiling their graveyard might be enough. Well, Ghost Vacuum number 1. Opponent has much better mana situation this game. And founding the 3rd, this has to be like a Squirming Emergence deck. Squirming Emergence just running awkwardly. Whale of the Forgotten. In game 1, at least, this is a fine start for our opponent. So opponent gets to do some digging, fill the graveyard. Well, we will start the exiling, I guess, into the Flood Maw. And seize the spoils. Well, let's play the other Ghost Vacuum. I mean, that's why we kept the hand, right? We knew we were not going to comp an opponent. Well, okay. Our thought that they might not be able to beat 2 Ghost Vacuums appeared to be true. Well, no storm necessary. Sideboard win. Sweet. All right. Against the odds time. We are 1,000-Year Storming in Standard. And yeah, I kind of like this hand. We got some card draw. Gotta flick the coin. Favorite card in the deck, flick the coin. And Reenact the Crime, which, I mean, Reenact the Crime is very strong once we start comboing. Not nearly as strong in the early game, but we'll see what our opponent's doing. Please, not mono red. Okay. Not mono red. Lush Portico. Mono red's the... Red aggro's the nightmare for our deck. I don't know if we ever beat mono red. What are we doing over in Selesnya land? Ooh. Island, okay. Do we seize the spoils? What do we discard? Let's just pass. We don't know what our opponent's doing yet. They could be like Bant Control or something and have counters. That seize the spoils in specific, very brutal if it gets countered because you have to discard anyway. Passing. Well, let's do a little grabbing. Grab a treasure with a Grabby Giant. And more flick the coins. Well, let's draw a couple cards. Never been happier to draw 2 for 4. I mean, Ill-Timed Explosion is very good, though. Like, we have expensive cards, so it is pretty wrathy in our deck when we need it to be. And when we don't need it to be, it draws a couple cards. Not especially efficiently, but it still does it. Opponent, Lush Portico. Opponent passes, wow. Where's our 1,000-Year Storm? We need a 1,000-Year Storm. Opponent. Passing? Maybe, all right. Well, flick ya. Would you like to counter a flick the coin opponent? Opponent says no. Wow, we have drawn all 4 of them. All right, well, Grabby Giant, make a treasure. We're doing a pretty good job of building up our mana here, which is nice. Well, let's run out the Grabby Giant. We're actually a giant aggro deck in disguise. Backup plan assembled. We'll just beat you down with Grabby Giant. Opponent. Hey, that's actually a very good Grabby Giant. A Grabby Giant eating a Get Lost is a win because Get Lost can hit 1,000-Year Storm. So I will take that there's no way we're going to win by beating down Grabby Giant. So I will take that every time. Overlord of the Flood Pits, eh? Moon, I'm going to draw some cards. Man, if we can find 1,000-Year Storm, we still would like a Brass's Bounty. A Brass's Bounty would make all this very easy, but those are the 2 cards we're looking for. Burst Lightning. We might have to kill this Overlord. We can take the damage for a couple turns, but yeah, I think we're gonna flick and... Ooh, there's a Brass's Bounty. Do a little flick and burst. The old flick and burst. The problem is just the card draw, right? We don't want our opponent to get free card draw. We were kind of hoping to hit a land, but... Well, Overlord down. Yeah, let's just pass. We could like seize the spoils, but I think passing's fine. Opponent, land. We still need the 1,000-Year Storm anyway. Also, our opponent could definitely be a temporary lockdown deck. If they nuke all of our treasures, we become very sad. Ooh, opponent passes. All right, there's a land. Grabs number 2. At least this gives us something to crack our maps on. All right, what do we got on top map? Oh, okay. Well, we're going to keep that. Actually, kind of unfortunate, because now we're not complaining, because that's the card we wanted to draw the most, but now our opponent knows about it, which is Gonna make it more likely that they leave up something. Wow, another get lost. All right, so opponent, they gotta have another answer, right? Like, there's no way you see Thousand Year Storm on the top of someone's deck and then spend your only way to kill it on a Grabby Giant. I can't believe that's a thing. So I think they gotta have another answer. Sunfall to the graveyard. Wow, wait, our opponent, no respect. No respect for the Thousand Year Storm. Oh, opponent. We have 7 lands. All right, there will be punishment here. Oh, we are gonna flick your coins so many times. You better hide your coins, opponent. Well, I guess our opponent decided aggro was their best bet, but this isn't gonna work because now we get a Thousand Year Storm. And then we get to make all the manas, reenact the crime, the Brass's bounty. Make a few more treasures. And that should be enough. With this hand, I think we just have the win here, right? Oh, it is time to flick the coin. Flick you 4 times. Thousand Year Storm. Found it. Gonna be down to 15. So 4 treasures, 4 cards, 4 damage. This will also give us something we can discard to the Seize the Spoils. Play the land. Crack the land, grab a island, and we might as well opt. Opt is essentially free when it comes to these treasure producers because it ups the storm count. And then we get the mana back by making an extra treasure in the future with the flick the coin. I don't even know what we're really looking for here. I guess just damage, more flicky coins, more, ooh, another Thousand Year Storm. Woo, another, okay. What if we just play all the Thousand Year Storms? Does this work? Thousand Year Storm number 2. And then Tron Assembled, Thousand Year Storm number 3. And the greatest flicky coin of all time. Is this lethal? I think this is lethal. I think we did it. We killed someone with flicky coin. All 20 damage from flicky coin. Oh, we did it. I mean, that was the secret hidden goal of this deck. Can we 20 someone with flicky coin? And the answer, thanks to Thousand Year Storm, is yes, apparently. Well, that went surprisingly well. So opponent's got to be some sort of, I don't even know, domain control deck, I guess. So I guess we trim some removal, bring in some counters. Finally, Rowell's time to shine, perhaps. Still gets lane line bound or whatever, but it seems, man, it's so hard to find room for it because it's not a spell, but it does seem decent. Do we go down? Let's go one more Burst Lightning. Run it like that. I feel like once we combo, we draw so many cards that even with just 2 Burst Lightnings, we should be able to find, we're going to find lethal, right? We're going to draw our entire deck if we need to. So I feel like we don't need that many. Burst Lightning has upside that it's a decent removal spell against aggro decks, but it doesn't do much. Ugh. I mean, we're just going to trust. I kind of like this hand. Oh, okay, now I like this hand a lot. As long as we hit our lands, I like this hand. We have a lot of card draw. We get some decent ramp. And the Magic Gods have smiled upon us with our Thundering Falls. Ooh. Yeah, we're gonna keep the Seize the Spoils. Hopefully our opponent doesn't have a counter. That would be sad. Opponent, Herd Migration to snag another forest. Overlord then, I guess? Yeah, all right, there's the Overlord. Opponent's getting their ramp on. Also, domain achieved. I guess maybe because of Overlord, you can get away with playing a domain mana base that is not as heavy on real dual lands. Because all you need is 1 Overlord to have domain forever. Opponent. Oh, it's a Xur deck. That's going to be an issue with these Overlords. Okay. Well, we probably got to kill this Xur. Oh, there's a Thousand Year Storm too. I mean, the Xur's got to go, right? If this turns on the Overlord, we're in really bad shape. Let's just ill-timed explosion. I think this time we're actually going to have to discard something. Well, Grabby Giant and, yeah, probably Burst Lightning. So get rid of the Xur before it can turn on this Overlord into a huge lifelinker. We really need a Brass's Bounty. If we can find a Brass's Bounty and our opponent doesn't have a Leyline Binding or something, we might actually be in shape. Paw Patch Formation. Oh, Big Nissa. Okay, Big Nissa's... That's a lot of power. Huh. Yeah, that might be an issue. Well, let's seize the spoils. Get rid of the tap land. Yeah, we even had the negate. We just didn't have the mana. Although, I think we had to kill the Zur. Like, I don't think we had the choice to not kill it and leave up the mana, so... I don't know how we beat this Nissa, though. I guess we're going to need another sweeper, really. Like, if this is going to work, up the beanstalk. Not going to negate that. I think, at this point, I think we're pretty committed to... having to combo off to win this game. I don't think we're going to be able to stop them. We're just going to have to... Man, this clock is fast. Well, Grabby Giant, make a treasure. Are we dead next turn? We might be dead next turn. 6, 11, 15. Well, play the land. I mean, I guess technically we go to 1. Milling the Brass's Bounty is actually huge. We can reenact the crime it. This doesn't actually let us win because our hand is dead. But, okay, reenact the crime, the Brass's Bounty. Oh! Huh. Okay, so... Auto tapper. I think we needed to manually tap a treasure there, because now we actually are just literally dead on board. Yeah. So we could have survived one more turn, which is kind of awkward. The odds of us winning that game were basically 0 anyway, so I don't think it really mattered, but ouch. Yeah, I guess I should have realized that they're not going to... yeah. But they're not going to sack the treasure before they use a pain land. Auto tapper. Well, Fable Passage go. Good news is, like I said, I think we were essentially 0% to win that game. Even with the Brass's Bounty, the Surveil the Brass's Bounty was sweet. Not enough, because we just didn't have, even once we played the 1,000-Year Storm, we just had nothing to go with it. Our only spell was a negate. So even if we played the 1,000-Year Storm, it just didn't do anything. And then if we play the 1,000-Year Storm that turn, Nissa can just kill it. So in the end, no harm, no foul, even though auto tapper. Opponent, Lush Portico. Well, play the land, ship the turn. Herd Migration, gonna grab a land. Well, I mean, we get to seize the spoils next turn. Do a little digging. Fabled Passage. Well, let's play Shivan Reef and seize the spoils, get rid of the mountain. And, alright, Ill-Timed Explosion is something. What do you got, opponent? Overlord of the Hauntwoods. Yeah, that's a good one. That is Overlord of the Hauntwoods the best 3-mana ramp spell? Maybe. It might actually be. I mean, it kind of depends on your deck, right? But in Domain, it probably is. Another tap land. We might have to flick a coin here just to cycle. Overlord of the Mistmoors. Okay. Well, that gives us a good flick target. Hitting our opponent's face for one is not very exciting, but sniping one of these 2/1s is fine. Plus, we get a treasure and a card. Opponent. Taking down their overlords. We might actually need to Wrath with an Ill-Timed but we're going to need... We're going to need to find something bigger to discard. All right, let's flick a coin. Get rid of the other token. More Fabled Passages. All right, well, pass the turn. I mean, our mana's doing good. We are building up our mana. Okay, Zur. That's an issue. I mean, I guess it's really going to come down to these ill-timed explosions. We need the timing to be good. We need to hit Brass's Bounty. We need to hit literally Brass's Bounty, which we don't want to discard because we want it in hand, but Brass's Bounty would be the hard reset here, and I think we need that. Opponent. Takes down. Oh, there's a Brass's. Okay, I mean, so good news is this means we don't just immediately die. Bad news is we're going to have to discard the Brass's Bounty. Yeah, well, Brass's Bounty and tap land. 7 damage. So, I mean, we did survive the Zur, and this makes our opponent's board much less scary. They're going to get the green Overlord, but hopefully we can deal with that. More green overlords. Okay, so we might actually be back in the same spot. The overlord's gonna come off in penned. So basically we need an instant replay. We need to find another expensive thing for this ill-timed explosion. Well, Spire Bluff is not expensive enough to the bottom. The opponent. Yep, here comes Overlord. That's another land. So how can we do this? Let's flick a coin, draw a card. Reenact the crime. Not quite expensive enough. Well, Thundering Falls. Negate, also not expensive enough. Ill-timed explosion. Using a treasure, kind of painful. Come on, we need some 5 mana or more. 5 mana or more, please, please, please. Oh, double opt. I mean, so the good news is, if there is good news, technically we're going to 1. We're going to 1. We're not dead. There's still hope, sort of, kind of, about it. Double overlords us. We did use our ill-timed explosion though. Opponent hits us to 1. All right, so we just got to win the game this turn. Easy. Easy breezy. Reenact the crime. Well, let's opt. Do you save us? No. Grab a giant to the bottom. Flick a coin. Okay. I mean, we are seeing the downside of flick a coin, which it is 3 mana, and it, man, the negate seems so helpful, but not now. Okay, ill-timed explosion. We're drawing live. We're drawing live. Ill-timed explosion. Okay, paw patch. I'm gonna draw a card, make a food. Opponent's looking for a counter, I guess. And okay, more paw patching. Another card, more food. Okay. Well, opponent came prepared for a 1,000-year storm. We were not gonna stick a 1,000-year storm against them with that hand. We have to discard the 1,000-year storm, which is a little sad. Although we can just reanimate it. This actually might work out for the best. Our opponent just spent 3. What are the? Did they spend 3 paw patches without having another way to answer 1,000-year storm in hand? I mean, we have to discard the 1,000-year storm. We have to, or we're gonna die. So 1,000-year storm burst lightning, 6 damage to everything, and then I guess we just do it. Like, I'm glad they spent those 3 paw patches. That means there's some chance that this is gonna stick. The other option is what? Just wait, hold on to our treasures in hopes that we find another 1,000-year storm. I mean, I think the odds of our opponent having an answer here are very high, but I don't think we have another realistic option. So reenact the crime, 1,000-year storm. And okay, there's the binding, yup. So we assumed, but we're not dead. That's the important thing. We're not currently dead. Opponent untaps at 1. Oh, all right. Now we're dead. Zerg can turn on the ley line, and we can't stop that. And well, we got him in game 1. But yeah, opponent came packing the hate. Yeah, this hand's fine. Nice having a hand that isn't super overloaded with our expensive stuff to start. Ideally, we're gonna mill it. We might regret milling our removal spell, but it's not action, right? It's not something that's gonna help us combo off with 1,000-year storm. Opponent in fact, toxic, I guess technically. Well, you know what? Flick a coin can technically take down a Billow Skulldweller. So we need manas. We need 1,000-year storms. Perhaps a Brass's Bounty. And then, look out, because things are about to get pretty sweet. All right, opponent, what do you got? Taplin. And a Billow Skulldweller. Sure. I mean, good thing we got 2 flicky coins. Opponent hits us. Down to 19, more importantly, up to 1 poison. Well, let's flick this Skulldweller out of here. All right, there's a Brass's Bounty. The other challenge in this matchup is going to be, can we dodge, presumably, the counters? Usually when you see Dimir, in fact, usually that means a lot of counter spells. About it. Schwamp. And Venser Corpse Puppet. Could have used that removal spell now. Well, let's see what we find. Hey, another Scorching Shot. Okay, that's actually pretty good. Well, I mean, I guess we just killed a Venser. We are going to take our 3rd poison, which is not... Well, actually, maybe we just flick a coin. You know what? Let's avoid the 3rd poison counter, which is a big one. Get rid of this Cold Dweller. We get our treasure back. Another Brass's bounty. Boy, if we can find a 1,000-year storm, we're going to have the mana, assuming we can resolve these Brass's bounties. Opponent land and... Ooh, it is a Murex. That is a constant stream of... Ooh, more Fencers. Okay. A constant stream of poison. Passing. We might have to just Burst Lightning this Venser. It is expensive to kick a Burst Lightning, but Venser is pretty good if it sticks out. Yeah, let's just stop on our opponent's upkeep. If they cast something end step, we'll kill it then. Otherwise, we will upkeep, try to kill the Venser. Prologue to Pharisee, say. Well, all right. I mean, we're about to see the upside of having Kicker on a shock, which is not especially efficient, but it is a shock that can take down a 3 toughness creature like Venser. All right, Poignant poisons us. Poignant? I think I mixed opponent and poison together into one word. Opponent. What do you got? Island Hand. Are we to the Murex point of the game? We might be. The nice thing about our deck is we don't really have... Untapped would have been better, but... nice thing about our deck is we don't really have targets for creature removal. So, yes, our opponent could be sitting on a handful of counters. Also likely that they have some number of removal spells that just don't do anything. Opponent. Gonna make a might. So hopefully they're sitting on a bunch of creature removal that just does not interact with all of our spells. Opponent hits us down to 17. And Infectious Inquiry. All right, more poison. Opponent gets to draw some cards. Well, we're up to 5. Opponent's halfway there. Well, ill-timed explosion. All right, let's draw a couple cards. Probably not going to discard to kill this might. Oh, we wanted a land. Okay. Awkward. Well, let's opt to see if we can hit a land. Once we get one more land, then the Brass's bounties become a little more appealing. All right, opponent's going to reject our opt of all things. I think they mostly wanted to get a poison counter on us with Proliferate. All right, well, this does mean we're probably gonna have to Burst Lightning the Might, which is not exciting, but... Well, yeah, opponent attacks, Burst Lightning. We're getting to the point where we just cannot afford to take more poison, especially since our opponent has so much Proliferate in their deck. Even at 6, I do not feel very safe. Yeah, all right. Brass's Bounty. Does it resolve? Okay. Hopefully this means we can set up 1,000-Year Storm for next turn. Maybe. That is assuming there is a next turn. Opponent mites. I mean, they didn't counter the Brass's Bounty, which is kind of maybe a sign that maybe they don't have a counter. Opponent hits us up to 7. So we can Brass's Bounty, 1,000-Year Storm, opt, seize. I mean, if they don't have a counter, this should work, hopefully. Brass's Bounty number 2. We're just making treasures. It's fine, opponent. Don't worry about it. Ooh, okay. It actually is fine. 1,000-Year Storm. I mean, if they get a counter, they're countering this. There is no way you can see a 1,000-Year Storm hit the stack and be like, oh, yeah, that's probably fine. Okay, Experimental Augury. Can they proliferate us to death with it on the stack? So we're going up to 8. Opponent's digging for the counter. Can they find it? Oh, yes. Okay. Well, now things are going to get fun. We will opt. Oh man, so good. I still can't laugh without coughing. It's a curse. It is a curse. Yeah, I guess we'll keep another opt. That is a cheap way to up the storm count, which is good. Opt number 2, trigger 1,000-Year Storm. Yeah, I guess we go bottom. And, ooh, Flick a Coin. Okay, there's the finisher. There's the finisher we were missing. And I think we actually can probably get to another Brass's Bounty here. So, seize the spoils. Discard the land. Cards that make treasures and draw are so good for this deck. Like, Seize the Spoils is not, like, an absurd card, but it is an absurd card with 1,000-Year Storm. 3 mana, what? Draw 8, make 4 treasures? I guess we had to discard a card, which makes it fair, but... fair. Now we'll play the land. And at this point... Well, I guess we have to reenact the crime. Okay, so at this point, I think we just are pretty much guaranteed to win. So we can play the Grabby Giant up the storm count. Make a few treasures. And then we can reenact the crime to get back the Brass's Bounty to make infinite-ish treasures. And we can play the Brass's Bounty. Oh yeah, this is so many treasures. Brass's Bounty, 1,000-Year Storm. Copy it 5 times? 6 times? So now we're up to casual 43 treasures. Flick a coin. Ping you a bit. Just a little off the top about it. Just a few flicks. It's fine. Oh, I love 1,000-Year Storm. I love 1,000-Year Storm. Flick ya. 17. 16. Another flick a coin. That's pretty good. 50. And opponent has had enough of the flicking and scoops it up. All right, pretty good. Pretty good 1,000-Year Storm. The bad news is, I don't know if we have a ton for this deck. Like, the Row's probably good if we can find room. The negates are probably necessary. But we can't just go down all of our creature removal for control stuff because we know they have Vensers. They got Billow Skull Dwellers. They have these, like, dorky, toxic creatures. How do we find room? So this is one of those decks where, like, so many of our things are synergy pieces that it's actually very challenging to bring in that many cards, to the point where I think we actually probably have too much removal in our sideboard, because even in matchups where it's good, we just can't bring in that much of it. Yeah, I guess we like just do some trimming and run it like that, I guess. Toxic versus 1,000-Year Storm, just the way Garfield drew it up. I'm actually kind of impressed we won game 1, because I feel like this is, not only do we win game 1, we 1,000-Year Stormed in game 1, but I feel like this is actually kind of a tricky-ish matchup, relatively tricky-ish matchup. All right, I mean, I like the negates in the matchup. Double Brass's Bounty, a little bit in the future before those will be good, but once they become good, they become very good very quick. Opponent, gonna lead on a Darkslick Shores. Well, land number 3 is fine. We'd be okay with drawing lands for like 3 more turns. Opponent, Island and Venser. So many Brass's Bounties. Perhaps too many Brass's Bounties. That is a lot. Did you see they said they were thinking of, they discussed adding Tron to Foundations? Thankfully, Play Design said, no, I could not imagine Tron in Standard forever. Like, if they want to add it in a set for a run for a year, well, I guess 3 years now is a long time. But if they want to add it for a minute, I would be okay with it, I think. But forever? Well, let's see if we can sweep the board. Do you have a counter opponent? Wow, they do not. Ill-timed Explosion. Well, thankfully, we have many Brass's Bounties that we can discard here. I think we're actually going to discard a negate, which hurts. Actually, can we discard 2 Brass's Bounties? Oh, yeah, we're going to discard negate. I want to keep 2 Brass's Bounties for 1,000, especially now that we have 1,000-Year Storm. Opponent going to prologue us up to 4 Infect. I mean, now that we have the 1,000-Year Storm, opponent pass, 2 1,000-Year Storms. This might be one of the we just run out 1,000-Year Storm games. I think we're actually just going to draw here. A little bit scary to use a Wrath that we might need in the future. All right, opponent proliferates, but we're on the proliferate clock, so we actually just need to get 1,000-Year Storm down, which means, oh, we needed mana. Okay. Well, Scorching Shot's fine. Rowl's interesting. Wait, did our opponent Experimental Augury and not find a land? And then Experimental Augury. Wow. I don't know if our opponent's not finding lands or not taking lands. It seems unlikely that you would Experimental Augury twice and have your draw steps and not find a land if that's what you wanted. Well, let's draw with Raoul because we really need a land here. Really. We can get rid of the Scorching Shot, and I guess, a 1,000-Year Storm. Play the tap land. Spoil's gonna go Graveyard. We really just want more lands. Bone it. And Vraska's Fall to get rid of Raoul. Well, that's a land. Opponent's tapped down. Can we win this turn? Can we win? I think we can win this turn. 7 mana with the Reenact the Crime in hand and the Brass's Bounties. Well, let's see what we can do. Our opponent's tapped down right now, so this is a good time to go for it if we can actually pull it off. So Brass's Bounty, 7 treasures. Reenact the Crime, Brass's Bounty. So go down 4 treasures plus 7 treasures. And Brass's Bounty, 7 treasures. Basically just upping the storm count with this Brass's Bounty. Purely free storm plus 1. 1,000-year storm. And now it's time for the Flickin'. It's time for the Flickin'. Flick ya? Flick ya 4 times, I think? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. 5 flicks of a coin. 5 treasures. 5 life. There's the burst. Oh, we got it. We got it. All right. I mean, we did it even against the Toxic Control deck, which seems like a tough matchup. Flick a coin number 2. Actually, number 6 or something. Flick a coin, flick a coin, flick a coin, and flick a coin, and flick a coin. And ooh, another reenact the crime. We could just reenact the crime, the flick a coin. And go all in. Actually, the easy win is just casting the Burst Lightning, I guess. It doesn't really matter. Once you get to this point, as long as you don't mill yourself out, it doesn't really matter what you do. Maybe we just, yeah, let's go. Oh no, that's gonna get muddy. If we do that, we're gonna get so many copies. We'll just finish it. We'll be respectful to our dear Toxic opponent. Toxic the deck, not the opponent, but Burst Lightning times 6-ish, 7, down to 7, down to 3, down to -1, and that is some good 1,000-year storming. Sweet. So what do we learn this week about 1,000-year storm in Foundation Standard? And record-wise, I've been having some issues with my tracker lately, so I don't have the exact numbers, but I will tell you, overall record-wise, was not very good. It had to be like 30-something, maybe 40% if we're lucky. Like, there was a lot of losses between the wins. And the big issue with the deck, as far as being truly top-tier competitive, is it's just pretty slow, right? If we run into, like, Mono Red, we saw Mono Red in the video. If we run into Mono Red, the odds of us actually being able to, like, make enough treasures to get 1,000-year storm down and do our thing, it's just so incredibly low. So we struggle with aggro. Super counter spell-heavy control decks can also be annoying. On the other hand, against mid-range decks, which we got to see, this deck can do some ridiculous things. So I think as far as being a 1,000-year storm deck, it actually functioned pretty well. 1,000-year storm is just, it's kind of a fun casual card, not a super spiky top tier card, but we got to see some of the best turns possible with this card, where we're able to do like the super cool Brass's Bounty 1,000-year storm, and then once we get to that point, we literally just make hundreds of mana and get to draw our entire deck, and we even got the Flick a Coin win, where we dealt a full 20 damage with Flick a Coin, which is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. It was super hilarious. So 1,000-year storm, it's super fun. It's super cheap to put together, but expect to lose a decent amount along the way because it's only kind of medium in terms of how competitive it is. But anyway, that's 1,000-year storm. That's been our Against Odds for this week. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you enjoy it, and I will talk to you soon.